Hi, welcome to the Futuristic Africa Talk, conversations that will shape the future of Africa. I am your host, Godswill Iwenofu. On this episode, we'll be speaking to Anthony Anakwue, the CEO of Ovid Capital, on what is Ovid Capital, what is the vision that led to Ovid Capital, what is the Ovid Token, and what does Ovid Capital aim to achieve in Africa. Let's get into it.
The Futuristic Africa Talk. Brought to you by Ovid Capita. Conversations that will shape the future of Africa.
The African consumer is not who we're being told they are. They're complex, they're multidimensional, they're dynamic.
So people look around the world and they say, where is it that we have a consumer base of that sort of size, a young consumer base that's also really
Davos, I think there's a wide acknowledgement that Africa is rising. I think we're the optimistic first of the earth, really, because at the same time,
Africa doesn't need aid, but Africa needs a lot of inflow of capital from other areas of the world.
A better Africa means better global.
Àdúgbò alárugẹ ká tún ṣe tó máa dàbí ibi tí àwọn ìgbé wa ń gba ìsinmi tí àwọn ibi ń pè ní tourism.
Investor, there remains an observation that the perceived risks of investing in Africa is much higher than the actual risk.
It is my hope that our aspiration will come to fruition.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first
Hello.
episode of the Futuristic Africa Talk. This first episode is what is Ovid Capital. We'll be discussing everything to do with Ovid Capital, the Ovid Token, the Ovid SEO. I am your host, Godswill Iwenofu. This is my co-host and my partner, Esiri. And our guest today is Anthony Anakwue, the CEO of Ovid Capital. So without further ado, may I please allow my co-partner and my guest to quickly say a few words and kindly introduce themselves to your audience. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, Africa as a whole. My name is Esiri Eric, and I'm privileged to be hosting this session with my friend, my brother from the other side, Godswill. And we have in our midst Mr. Anthony Anakwue. Good to have you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Godswill. It's also very good to be here. I'm really excited about this Futuristic Africa Talk. I think it's something very, very exciting for the work we do and for, in so many other ways. So I'll let you guys, lead the way for this first episode.
All right. So thank you for availing yourself. I know you're quite a very busy person, so it's a privilege to actually have you here. So this whole podcast was to help us engage in conversation about things that Ovid Capital and the Ovid Token is working on, and for people to understand what are we really doing, the whole concept behind us. So, and that is why it was very important to have you as our host for the first episode to speak about really what is Ovid Capital and what is the Ovid Token, right? So without further ado, it's more of a conversation, but I'm going to ask, me and my host, we're going to ask very important questions that I believe are on the audience minds. So the first question is, what is Ovid Capital? Where did it come from? What's the vision behind it? Why is Ovid Capital existing? If you may say.
If I could answer the question in reverse. So the last part of your question, why is Ovid Capital existing? Ovid Capital is existing with the main purpose of driving growth in Africa. We see there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of opportunity in Africa, and our main goal is to drive growth in Africa through business, through building businesses creating employment, and taking advantage of the opportunities in Africa, right? So, but if I go deeper into what we are doing and how we're trying to do what I just explained earlier, there are a lot of layers to it. So I'll just give a brief history of how we started. We started after we saw an opportunity on the continent. Actually, that there was a lot of opportunity on the continent to make a lot of money and create a lot of impact. So at the time when we found that out, I would say, we decided to spread the word, right? In a sense. So we started organizing events to bring investors into Africa. That led us to today, when we're now doing our own investments. So many things led all along the line for us to get to this point. And I think those are things that we're going to delve into today, isn't it?
All right, thank you, sir. Just to bring you back from a small point that you missed when answering my first question, and I'm going to ask it with my second question. So my second question is, how did the vision for Ovid Capital come about? You know, what's the journey to where we are? What's the journey before actually the firm was founded? And the question that you kind of, the point you kind of missed, or the point you didn't touch on, is what is Ovid Capital? You know, what?
Oh, okay. I think you're definitely right, Godswill. I missed that. So Ovid Capital is an investment firm. It's what our business is what is called private equity. So we create funds and we use those funds to invest in very attractive opportunities that will yield huge returns in the future for the investors, right? One twist that Ovid Capital has is that our focus is not only on profit, we also focus on having impact on the communities where we invest. So in essence, we want to have impact in Africa towards growth, you know, and positive outcomes on the continent. So in a short form, we're an investment firm, we're a private equity company, and we set up funds and we have investment products to invest in African opportunities.
Okay. And how did the vision come about, sir?
Yeah, I think I've told this story quite a few times. You know, it came about by me seeing actually just like a light bulb moment of finding out that there's so much opportunity on the continent, because I live in the UK. I grew up in Nigeria. I went to secondary school in Nigeria, and I left when I was about 16 years old or so. Bearing in mind, I was born in the UK, right? So, but that's besides the point. So anyway, I had a friend called Tunji, and we were in university together in the UK. And after university, he moved back to Nigeria. I stayed in the UK, setting up business. I was in the real estate business in the UK. And, you know, I was doing quite well, and I understood the real estate market. Tunji as well went into the real estate market in Nigeria. So we used to exchange ideas and things. And I always used to write off Nigeria. Anyway, one of these times I went on holiday to Nigeria, and Tunji invited me to one of the projects that he was working on, and it was a huge project. You know, he has always been telling me what he's doing, but I never really pictured it. And when I got there, it was with a company called Prime Water View, right? And they built, I think at the time it was about either between 100 and 200 apartments. It was a huge development, you know. I was standing in the middle of it, you know, seeing all the builders walking around, the architects. I saw people moved back from US, Canada, working on the project, you know, I was amazed. And I was like, okay, now you guys are building all these things. Who's going to buy it? And he told me, well, it's all sold out anyway. You know,
Wow.
we have more customers that we can handle. So in fact, we're looking for the next, and he said, I'm going to take you to the next site. We're starting work as soon as possible because a lot of people missed out on this one. And so I was sitting there thinking about, you know, the kind of profit I made in the UK, you know, 1 or 2 properties going up and down, you know, all the stress I was going through. Meanwhile, people were here building hundreds of apartments, selling them, you know, in a very short time. And then, you know, doing big things. So I thought, look, I have to get in on this. And that's just how the journey started. And within that, I started trying to figure out what is the best way to take advantage and place myself in the market, right? And we started by trying to get all the stakeholders together. We knew there were problems in the real estate market. So we tried to get stakeholders together by creating events. And that way it will help us to network with them, right? So that we'll know all these people in the market so we can, you know, get in. And that's how we started. And started bringing, we now realized that there were a lot of people that actually wanted to do that, but, you know, they didn't know how to go about it. And so the events were very successful as events, but we were not happy with the outcomes. So I will stop there. And maybe,
right.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I also want to tell you something. When we were doing these events, you know, there were a lot of global events, right? That had way more money than us. They were bigger than us. They had more resources. They were in the West, and you know, these are events that most people, you know, gravitate towards. You know, like because they have a kind of status symbol, right?
Yes.
But these people, in terms of Africa, they knew nothing. So all the people that we brought to our first event, those so-called big events, saw our videos and our things, and then started picking those people. In a way, we now realize that the same people that came to our events, which we picked at random, now kind of became face of Africa real estate in all the conferences around the world. So this is when we knew that there was a problem, right? Because the people that we're looking up to, they didn't know what they're doing. So we started realizing that there's a huge gap in the system, so that we could figure out how to do things properly and get the job done. And that's what we're doing now.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. May I please bring in Eric? Eric, do you have any questions? May I please, you know, touch on this topic a bit?
Okay, thank you very, very much. Please, if you can hear me, please just give a nod, please. If you can hear me clearly, give a nod. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Anthony. You talked about, I remember the last time we talked, and you talked about now, Ovid Capital is about private equity and the focus being Africa. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Now let's go back a bit and talk about the token, because right now investing in Africa is a major challenge. So I believe that as many that will be watching this or listening from any part of the world, they want to know, okay, how is the Ovid token different from Ovid Capital? What is the difference, and what is the value of this token?
Okay, so as I said earlier, Ovid Capital creates funds, right? And to create these funds are like collective investments. So if people don't understand what funds are, it's just people gathering their money together to, you know, get one huge, it's like crowdfunding, right? if you want to make it like that, but a more sophisticated type of crowdfunding. So people put their money together to have a big chunk of money to make significant investments in significant things, right? So this is what Ovid Capital's job is. Now, Ovid token represents one of our funds. So for us to create funds, there are so many regulations, so many things we have to meet, and we also have to make it transparent and comfortable for investors to be able to invest and, you know, secure. So for us to make it secure, we have to use technology, we have to use legal system, we have to use so many things. So now, to the first part of your question, Ovid token represents, an Ovid token and the Ovid Africa Fund represents a fund that is set up by Ovid Capita. So Ovid Capita is the main group, and the fund is an entity on its own, which is a collective investment that is going to invest in other opportunities in Africa, right? So we are just more or less a management group of the Ovid Africa Fund. Is that?
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, it is clear. But now, how safe is the Ovid token? How safe it is? Because there's so many persons out there. They have investment portfolios and they are looking to add more to their portfolios. Now, when you sell this Ovid token to them, they would want to know how safe it is. Is this investment, is it safe for the African people?
Well, 100%. As I said earlier, you know, with everything in life, first of all, has risk, right? But as I said, when we create our funds, we take all these things into account to make sure that it's transparent. It's, you know, so there are layers to it. First of all, it's an opportunity for people to actually invest with us, because we are telling them, come and use our ideas, our expertise, and you give us your money, and we're going to do all the work, right? So most of the work that we can do, I mean, you guys know in the background what we all the plans we have and all the things that we are putting in place. Some you know, some you're learning, because some of you are still new on the team. But the first thing is that there's value that we're bringing to the table, right? So number one, that value cannot be underestimated. Remember I said that the people, the big organizations were copying our work. This just proves that most of these people don't actually understand how Africa works and what works in Africa. We are, you know, people that are on the ground. You and Eric, you're in Uganda, you shuttle between Uganda and Nigeria. Godswill is in South Africa. You know, there's no other knowledge that can be better than the ones that you guys have, right? Nobody from anywhere in the world can have that kind of knowledge. So first of all, this is one thing that we have, right? Then the second thing is we have done it, as I said, using technology and structures. So in terms of the fund is set up like any other fund from any other company around the world, like any other whatever anybody thinks is reputable. We have set up the fund to meet all regulations. You know, we're in the UK for a reason. We know we're not just using the UK because we want to be in the UK or because I'm here. We use the UK for a reason, because we know that investors are very comfortable. Investors around the world, they're very comfortable that the UK has good structures, you know, or structures that work, that can protect them and protect their money, right? So we're based in the UK. We have all the same structures following all the laws of the UK, but we create our investments in Africa. On top of our legal and structural stuff that we do in the UK, we also now using technology, which is the blockchain technology that brings full transparency and security to this type of investments. So it's a mixture of things that comes together to shows the investor or whoever is investing that, look, these guys mean business, they know what they're doing, and they are transparent, and everything is clear as daylight for you to see.
Okay, let me just come in here, sir. So you speak a lot about regulations, the UK being regulated, BTC, and we understand regulators, they often fall behind when it comes to regulating digital assets. I mean, when you look at other digital assets, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, it's strange. So how is the regulatory process, or how is the regulations for the for STOs different? And if I just touch on that, I mean, just in South Africa, yeah, we just got our POPI Act last year, but we have data science has been there for over 15 years. No one's been regulating it. So STO is still relatively new, and we know regulators are falling back. So how confident are we that the regulations passed in the UK are safe for this kind of investments?
Yes, so this is a challenge, right? I mean, regulators in this industry, I would say, for like tokenization, blockchain, and all these things, they're obviously lagging behind the technology, right? But you know, they're doing what they have to do. Everybody's catching up. I think one of the problems that is there is that people, when we say tokenization and blockchain, people think we're talking about cryptocurrency, and this is totally different from cryptocurrencies. I mean, the cryptocurrency people, their whole ideology is to be decentralized and not to, you know, work with regulators and all that. So they have their own way of doing things, right? But what we're saying is we are using the blockchain technology. So the difference between us, the only similarity between us and them is that we're using blockchain technology, right? So this same blockchain technology can be used for so many different things. We are using it to represent securities. Now, security laws have already been in existence for years. Everywhere has security laws. I mean, Eric can tell you, I'm sure he knows, being a lawyer, he's aware of, you know, these laws in all over, even in Africa, they have security laws. So these security laws still govern our fund, right? The next part is how those security laws can be adjusted to the modern day, which means we're now adding those securities to what is it called? To the tokens, their tokenization. So let me give you one area where that might be, you know, a problem, because normally a security is like a share, right? Like a stock share, like Apple stock, okay?
Yes.
So now,
yes.
Normally when you're going to list on the stock market has so many different criteria for you to list. So only a few companies that are able to reach those levels of scrutiny. Yes, can go onto list themselves. But the thing is, by the time they list on the stock market, the people that have already invested when it was a private company have already made a huge killing, right? Because when they're bringing it to the public, they're just bringing it to the public to finish off the job. You understand? So most of the people that buy when they do the IPO and all those things can never, you know, make the same type of returns that the initial investors made, right? So this is where tokenization comes in. So we now have a structure, an automatic structure, blockchain, transparent, that we can use to break up a private investment into fractions, right? So that normal investors that were not able to get in at the beginning can now get in early. Do you understand? To be able to take advantage of those returns that are there. I always give this example of Lance Armstrong and Uber. I'm sure there's so many more examples like that. Like Lance Armstrong one is, he invested $100,000 in Uber back in 2009. And, if you fast forward to today, Uber is worth about 100 billion. So Lance Armstrong's 100,000 is what, $1 to $2 billion, right? So that's just in the space of, I don't know, 12 years, 10 years or whatever. But he made the billions already, maybe in 5 to 10 years, right? In that sense, there is no other way, there's no other asset that has made returns like, investing, one man starting a business, calling for investors, then growing the business, and it grows big, and then they make, the investors make returns. This is always the basic form of investing, and that's the basic form that has created the highest returns in the world. You can see that even Facebook, I mean, there's so many 1,001 companies and 1,001 opportunities that people have invested in. And, even for example, let's say there was this company, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, Iroko TV in Nigeria.
Yes.
He's all over Africa, right? So when the guy that started Iroko, was posting videos on YouTube, African Nollywood movies, and he realized that a lot of people were, buying into those, watching it, and he used to make money from YouTube. This same guy was in the UK, right? I think I've met him a couple of times. He was in the UK doing this stuff, and then he had a friend from Germany who he pitched the idea to, saying, look, I need this money, and if I have this amount of money, I think something like $200,000, right? If I had this amount of money, I'll be able to do this, I'll be able to do that. And that same German guy went to his family and pitched the idea to them. Somehow they managed to pull up the money, and these guys went ahead to build Iroko TV. I mean, I just asked you about it and you've heard of it. So within, I don't know, I think those German people pulled out of that business in maybe 3 to 4 years. And when they pulled out, I think they sold for like 25 million, right? So a $200,000 investment was worth 25 million in a very short time. And that's just an example from Africa.
Okay. Just on the topic of the opportunities the fund offer, you've touched on a number of them. Decentralizing finance, allowing investors to invest in different portfolios on the continent. May you please go forward in there and tell us what are the benefits and disadvantage of investing in the Ovid token and the Ovid Africa Fund?
Well, the benefits, first of all, are similar to what we've just discussed. You're investing in value of people that are committed, that have the know-how, that have been diligent, that are able to get returns on investment for your money. So we also are providing early stage companies, which we know are going to be very profitable. Now, there's a there's a mixture. So when we say profitable, we don't just come out. I can just give you the whole cocktail of things that will make you know that investing in the Ovid token is going to be very, very profitable in the future, right? So let's go start with the fundamentals. The fundamentals, for example, in Africa, Africa has the highest population of young people, right? It has is the continent where there's the highest rate of urbanization. So that urbanization means a lot of people are coming out of poverty, right? They're entering into the middle class. It is highest in Africa, right? Africa has all the resources. It has the market, you know. So take for example, some of these companies we're talking about. We're not yet thinking about global, even though that's our long-term goals for our portfolio companies, but we're still telling you that just in Africa, the market in Africa is large enough for us to scale up in a very, very, very big way, okay? So what I've mentioned now is people that have the know-how, they have the experience, they bring the value, the market that is there available to grow these businesses, and you know, the demographic of the people. All this come into one cocktail to let you know that if you're looking to invest somewhere, then, and if you're looking to invest somewhere, for example, that you feel that there's potential for growth in the whole world, then Africa is the place, right? And if you're going to invest in Africa, you have to invest with people that know how to invest in Africa. And if you're going to invest with people that know how to invest in Africa, you have to invest with people that know how to invest in Africa, that have created structures that you can be comfortable with. And you know, this is all the things that we represent. I feel that we have done enough work, and we have shown over the years our resilience and our how would I say, I mean, give me the word when somebody's determined. Oh yeah, determination to succeed on the continent. I don't think any other company has, number one, the data we have and are doing things the way that we're doing it.
All right, thank you so much, sir. I would like to bring in Eric to, to follow up with his part of questions.
Okay, thank you, Godswill. Mr. Anthony, a few days ago when we talked, you made mention that billions and billions of dollars leave Africa on a yearly basis. So now we call that capital flight. Now, coming back to Africa, which we all want to see what move on to the next level, where Africans will begin to say, okay, I invested my money into this and this is my return. Now, what is the assurance? Now, what is Ovid Capital? What is the aim? What are they are looking to let's say, let's say aiming to achieve? What is Ovid Capital aiming to achieve via the Ovid token here in Africa?
Okay, so we first and foremost, we are, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, we want to drive change on the continent. We want to make sure that, you know, these young people, 1.2 billion of them, or I don't know how many millions, hundreds of millions of people that will need employment, will be able to get the employment that they need, that people will have better lives. Now, we want to do it in a way that is not a charity, because we know that, you know, so far in Africa, aid and charity and NGOs have been there for years, but this is not what we need, right? We've got everything that we need on the continent. So our aim is to tap into those sleeping potentials that we have and bring them to light, because we believe that these things can grow exponentially and create massive opportunity and massive wealth, not just for us, but massive wealth for also the people on the ground, and it can turn things around, basically. So our aim and our goal for Africa is to make a difference in our own little way, where we create massive employment, we create, if it's housing that we're into, we create enough housing to meet demands of people that don't have housing. At the same time, we make profit, but make sure that whatever we're doing meets the need of people in Africa.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I was once thank you so much for that. So
did I answer your question, Eric, or did you need more clarification?
Yes, you did, but I just wanted to add one more thing before Mr. Godswill comes in.
Okay.
There's a particular word called trap and reinvest. Now, still going back to the billions of dollars that leaves Africa on a yearly basis. So how is Ovid Capital, what strategy has Ovid Capital in place to trap this fund through investment in these tokens and reinvest them? Then secondly, what are these high-end growth companies, or let's say SMEs that will use investors' money to? I think the people that they really want to hear you say that money to invest in us.
Okay, so there are several ways where we see investment leaving the continent, right? And those ways where the money is leaving the continent, there are opportunities there to create services or businesses that could plug those gaps, right? Let's say, for example, if you look at healthcare, a lot of Africans travel out of Africa, spend thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands of dollars. This is supposed to be a poor continent, right? But we spend thousands of dollars on medical treatment in other parts of the world. I mean, these are monies that shouldn't be leaving the continent. And in that sense as well, sometimes when Africans travel out of Africa to get healthcare, it's also African doctors that are treating them in those countries that they're going to, right? So which means that not only do we have capital leaving the continent, we have also, expertise and intelligent people leaving the continent. So, I mean, there's opportunity there. We could build businesses that will keep those doctors and those monies on the land in Africa, right? So there's no reason why our doctors will train and they'll only be good enough to treat people if they're living in the United States, or if they're living in the US or Canada, in the UK or Canada. Why can't they be treating people in Africa and be earning comfortable amounts, for them to be able to feel good about themselves, And why can't the people that create these opportunities or these medical businesses also make money? Is there a reason why they can't make money? There's no reason. I mean, there are people come up with all types of things, but we know that there are so many ways of skinning a cat, or is that how they say it? There's so many ways of skinning. I didn't want to say no killing, skinning a cat. There's so many ways of skinning a cat that especially in the healthcare section. I mean, myself and Ecos, the Chief Investment Officer, we have been working very closely with some companies in India who have actually been able to build hospitals and medical facilities that are not costly. The way they have different formats of building it, so that they're not overly like out of reach of the normal individuals on this on the street. I mean, they have different methodologies of, sometimes they charge certain people a certain amount and they charge others. It's is advancement in health tech and healthcare, that would work in Africa. These are the things that we're putting in place. Not, for example, going to get an American system where to do an operation or whatever will cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, but that's the American system. That's not an African system. So we have ideas and companies that have proper structures and models that will work in Africa, which are very scalable. And these are the things that we're trying to tap into. So that's just it.
Okay, thank you so much.
I don't know still if it covers your. I think there was a second part to it, right, Eric? To your question.
Yes, it is. It is.
It covers, right?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So before you, I know you're a very busy man, and we're running out of time. But before you leave, I just want to I just want to get your perspective on something. So I've been having some conversation with external people in our industry, and the conversation often goes as you ask me to come invest in Africa, or even South Africa is better, because when you talk about other African countries, they don't really see the benefit, but in South Africa, they may see it. So you ask me to come invest in other African countries, exclude South Africa, but I don't see the opportunities there. To them, it's always the opportunity is too small. There's no opportunity. There's lack of infrastructure, etc. And then when you speak to African entrepreneurs on the ground, they're telling you there's it's a capital strain market. There's no finance, etc. When I speak to some of my investors, some of my co-investors that invest on the continent, they also give me the opinion there is no opportunities to put money on the continent, and I'd rather put money outside of the continent. So from your perspective, how has it been? I know it's a capital strain market, but also are the opportunities there for everything we're discussing now? Proper healthcare, infrastructure, real estate, etc. Are the opportunities really there? And what would you say to the investors who are saying there are no opportunities on the continent? There's not enough opportunities to match, the ones outside of the continent.
Funny enough, I was talking about this with someone yesterday. I think it's very sad because, people have been conditioned in a way that they've been demoralized. I mean, people from in Africa and people outside Africa, they've been conditioned to believe that, Africa is useless, right? But the thing is, so everything that you said, we are aware of that, but in all those things, these are the places where we see opportunity, because we know that the opportunity is there. I'm saying you yourself know, Eric knows that the opportunity is there. Eric in Uganda, he's there for opportunity. When we met Eric, Eric was there because he's gone to work on a startup in Uganda. I mean, these are the things that are happening on the continent, right? So if the continent was useless, then all these things wouldn't be happening. The reality is that all those rhetoric and those data and those things that people say is all down to their perception. It's as simple as that. It's all down to their perception. I mean, yes, there are challenges doing business in Africa, but I mean, challenges exist everywhere in the world, So for you to say because there are challenges, then Africa is useless, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. So if you look at it, I mean, you have to, I don't know, pull, you have to see the continent for what it is, right? We are saying, so we are basically the opposite of all these people, because first of all the places where these guys, most of them look for opportunity, this is not where we see opportunity, right? We know very well how things are in Africa in terms of businesses, SMEs. In fact, for example, some companies that we are going to see as SMEs, these people that you're talking of will not see them as SMEs. That's why they will come out and say that these investments do not exist. You know, other people that you might be talking to might be companies that, or institutions that are not ready to invest in Africa for now, or not ready for the kind of investments that we are saying are there. They might be ready for those investments after we have proven that they are there, right? Which is what we're doing. They're still going to come in. They're still going to see what is what we're talking about, because we're working, right? So let me give you another example of this same story. Have you ever heard of this guy called Mo Ibrahim?
Yeah, Mo Ibrahim Foundation, Mo Ibrahim from Sudan.
Yes, you heard about him, but do you know his story?
He founded a telecoms company in Sudan, grew it and sold it, made some billions, migrated to London.
He didn't migrate to London. He was already working in London and the UK. He founded the company from the UK. He used to work with Orange at the time, one of the biggest mobile phone technology companies, networks in the UK, right? He was one of the engineers that built their network. Okay, so when he finished building when he finished with those people, he decided to do something in Africa, right? And he was pitching this idea to so many different investors. Everybody was telling him, Africa is rubbish, it's never going to happen, it's never going to work. This thing is never going to work in Africa. You know, just like that. They were saying that his idea was rubbish, right? Now, Mo Ibrahim, luckily for him, got investment. I think it was about, I don't know, maybe 100 or 90 million, $100 million or so, something like that. I can't remember what the figure was. It was a relatively small amount, right? And he went back and built this network. So, but at the time, when he was building the network, he was using generators to power the masts, the power state, transmission stations, the mast, right? The mobile. So the network was powered by generators. So somebody had to drive with diesel to top up each one, right? To make sure that it's still on. Okay. So they were doing that. And that was the infrastructure. They built it, okay? And what they realized is there are two countries that were neighboring each other. Those two countries have never had a means of communication through telephone or telecoms, right? In fact, if you wanted to call from one of the countries to a neighbor, it costs you, maybe $1 or $2 a minute, some ridiculous amount like that, right? So what Mo Ibrahim realized is once they put this mast and those people could communicate, they realized that there were so many customers. Okay, so his company, I think is today is called Airtel or Celtel, right?
Airtel.
This company grew so fast. They spread across the whole Africa very, very fast. And he ended up selling the company for $5 billion, right? And today he's relaxing, as you said, in the UK, and he has his foundation. He's an old guy, retired, and he's doing good things, right? And that company or those infrastructure that he's built is what is driving Africa today. So even when he was in Africa and begging some governments that he wants to build this infrastructure, some of them didn't know what he was talking about. So this is just an example, right? Today, there are over 600 to 700 million mobile phones in Africa. 600 to 700 million mobile phone customers. Do you know the size of that? MTN in Africa is one of the biggest telecoms companies in the world. This is only in Africa, right? They're now even going global. They're going to other countries, right?
The Middle East, Europe, yes.
Exactly. This is it. This is just a simple story that, shows you that there are always going to be people that say things are not working, and we can't listen to those people because they're already conditioned to be demoralized. We are not on that trajectory with them because we know what is happening. We've done investments in companies. There's a company in South Africa which we invested in, and we know the returns that we're making. And that company was merely an idea. Somebody just spoke about it, right?
Yes, sir.
It had no structure, nothing. And today is well into the, is going exponential. His growth is ridiculous. You see?
All right.
So that is it. We need to focus on investing. The opportunity is there. We have the markets, and it's a fresh market. I mean, by the time things start happening, people will be wishing that they were early too, like us.
All right. That's true, sir. The opportunities are there, and we really have to make them work. So, sir, thank you so much, and we are running out of time. Thanks so much for availing yourself once more to attend.
Eric, does he have Eric he's been quiet for a minute.
Eric, you want to jump in?
Yes, I'm sorry, I think we're losing light on my end.
Okay.
Mr. Anthony, you said quite a lot, and I think I have learned so much. So I begin that this era, this time that we are right now, especially those of us who are from this part of the world, so to say Africans, I think we begin to see that investment is the vaccine for poverty. Because if you want to live that life, that you've dreamed about, so people begin to think, begin to change their mindset about that. Okay, I think investment is the only thing that would get me out of this present state. So it is a good thing that you are here on the show, on this podcast today, because so many things has been cleared. And if an African man would watch this and make a decision that with Ovid Capital, then they begin to create wealth for themselves, for their families, and for their community, which Ovid Capital stands for, Africa first.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, sir.
But not like Trump.
Not at all. Not at all. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, sir.
I think one more thing, I would have loved to ask you guys some questions. It's too late now. But I think I just want to second what Godswill said. Eric said. It's very important because not just investment, but having what is called time preference. So this is time preference is very important. Maybe we can have another event about a podcast about time preference. And when I say time preference, is being able to make an investment and be patient for it to mature and for it to pay dividend, right? Most countries, most people, even this time preference works from your individual to a country level to whatever level that you want. And even going to the gym to exercise, right? There's time preference. You have to put in some work and be patient and put in the work, and at the end you get the result. And when the result comes, it stays forever, right? Or it stays for a very long time. A lot of the problem that we have in Africa is that we don't have a good time preference. So I think that's another topic for another day.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank you so much, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day. Eric, that's it from our side.
Thank you very, very much for having me, Mr. Godswill, and thank you, Mr. Anthony, for coming on this podcast. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. It was very interesting, even though I did all the talking, but I think as we go along, you guys will do more talking. All right.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
The information on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not investment or financial advice. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. None of the information on this podcast constitutes or should be relied on as a suggestion, offer, or other solicitation to engage in or refrain from engaging in any purchase, sale, or any other investment-related activity with respect to any STO or other transaction.